أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على الرسول المسدد والمصطفى الأمجد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد، وعلى آله الهداة الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين، وعلى جميع أنبياء الله الصالحين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت، وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم أهل البيت. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا، ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك، فإن مع العسر يسرا، إن مع العسر يسرا، فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected sisters and brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It aches my heart a lot when I hear our youths going through depression. I have met youths that tell me they have tried to commit suicide because of the intensity of their depression. I have met youths who say that their lives is unbearable because of their depression. And all these youths are our youths. They are the youths of the community. So I have decided, inshallah, tonight, the final night of this series of reformation, the ultimate mission of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, al-Islah, where if we want to achieve reformation, we have to change within. And I've decided to talk about depression because this is an issue that is affecting a lot of our youths. Let me give you some statistics as we usually start with. Depression approximately affects 121 million people worldwide. The World Health Organization ranks depression as one of the world's most disabling diseases. 20% of people will experience a serious incident, clinical depression, during the course of their lifetime. And in the UK, they say 1 in 6, or some report 1 in 4 people have depression. So what is depression? In a formal definition, depression, a depressed mood or loss of interest or pleasure, affects an individual in daily activities for more than 2 weeks. So if more than 2 weeks an individual has this depressed mood or loss of interest in life, then they are usually labeled as depressed, a clinical depression. Remember, we're not talking about when someone say, oh, I'm depressed, i.e. I am sad. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about clinical depression. We're talking about when your life is affected, you cannot do your daily activities. You are disabled. and they are classified as disabled individuals, people who are depressed. So there is this impaired function, social, occupational, educational, everything is impaired. We see certain youths who drop out from university because they face clinical depression. We find individuals with depression, they take long amounts of sick leave from work. These people have had this particular effect, this emotion in them, affecting their daily lives. And other biological symptoms such as effect on sleep and eating, etc. So let's focus on the Muslim community. There had been studies shown that many Muslims are hesitant to seek help from mental health professionals in Western countries. So there are 3 papers I will recite very quickly. One by Hidayat Diba, and it's called Psychotherapy with Muslims. It was published in American Psychological Association. That's one paper you can go back to. Another paper is by Hodge. The title of the paper is Social Work and the House of Islam, and that is published in Social Work Journal. Another one is by Mahmoud, and it's called African American Muslim Families, and it was published in Ethnicity and Family Therapy. And there are other papers that have published to say that Muslim individuals are hesitant, and there are more amongst the men than the women. The problem is, my sisters and brothers, is that certain individuals find that depression is caused by a jinn, or is this black magic. Yes, especially in the elder generation, when a youth reports and says, well, you know, I feel sad, I feel depressed, I cannot eat, I cannot enjoy life activities. Usually the parents say, well, you know, this is perhaps a jinn, he has possessed you. There's a possession, jinn has possessed you, and also this is black magic maybe. Yes? And we seriously need to educate ourselves if that is the solution given by certain individuals. Because definitely that is not the case. And we can go into the explanation of what is a jinn and can a jinn possess a human being, etc. That's not the topic of today. But I can say with certainty that is not the case. Depression is an illness. It is exactly like when you have cancer, for example, la samahallah, or you have a flu, the most simplest of cases. Depression is an illness. You are ill with a disease called depression, right? You don't go and say someone who's just broken their leg, right? Or someone who has had flu, you say, oh, you've been possessed by a jinn. No, you've been possessed by a virus, my friend. That's a different thing. Regarding depression, no, it's a neurochemical imbalance in your mind, right? And there's been studies, a lot of studies have been done for this. And interestingly, it's just one very interesting side point that we all should be proud of. And when you go out there, we should publicize it. To say that where in the world the first establishment of a psychiatric ward, do you know? The first in the world was done in Baghdad, in Iraq, in 705 CE by someone called Al-Radi. He was one of the greatest Islamic physicians, and it was the first psychiatric hospital in the world, and that happened in Baghdad. So you can see that in 705 CE, they knew more about mental illness in our countries than now. If you go to Iraq, for example, and a youth complains of depression, and by the way, there are a lot of depressed individuals in Iraq because of what's happened in recent years, right? And it's inevitable. They come and tell you, yes, they are being possessed by magic, yes, you know, just get on with it. Man up, they say, man up. Come on, you're bringing shame to our tribe, you're bringing shame to our family. This is the response you will get. Whereas many, many years ago, it was Al-Radi who established the first psychiatric hospital in the world. So unfortunately we seem to go backwards. So what are the treatments for depression? If one was to go to the GP and say, well, I have these symptoms, what are the treatments? Well, the first thing is that, yes, there are tablets. They are called antidepressants. You've all heard of them. There are different SSRIs, they say. I'm not a medic, so I cannot comment more on that. There is therapy, and one of the most successful therapies out there is what is called the cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. And I will mention later on that there are individuals, Muslim psychologists and psychiatrists, who are working now on developing a Muslim version of CBT, a Muslim version of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is going on at the moment now, specifically in University of Leeds. Yes, they're trialing it out. Another treatment, they say, is mindfulness. This is something we've talked about before, and we'll talk about inshallah in the next few minutes. Other therapies or practices such as yoga and other alternative therapies. Now the focus of today's talk is not a medical thing, right? But more about spirituality. The question is, my brothers and sisters, is can we use spirituality to treat depression? That's the question, right? Now the main issue I would like to raise here, just before I go on, is that for what I'm going to talk about for the remainder of my lecture, is not much related to people who have severe depression. Because when an individual has severe depression, you cannot come and tell them, look, you have to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to be pious. You have to do, these mindfulness. You have to do cognitive behavioral therapy. No, because they're in a completely different mindset. They have severe depression. They want something instant. So they recommend the medics that, yes, antidepressants, you wait until they start to work. So for the remainder of the talk, I will refer to the treatments for people who have mild to moderate depression. Regarding spirituality, a very important point, I believe, that must be mentioned at the start, is that spirituality cannot be separated from other aspects of our being, such as exercise, relationships, diet, work. This is our daily activities, working, diet, etc., right? But it has to be part of our life. When I wake up in the morning, I say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya Allah, help me in my day, right? And thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being alive. This, you are in that mood of spirituality, right? So we're not giving a solution which is outside just specifically for depression. Even if you do not have depression, every single mu'min should have spirituality as part of their life, as much as you have for relationships and exercise, etc. So that was the first talk. The first solution, I'd like to mention 6 solutions, inshallah, today. And I'm sure that, people who are experts, psychologists and others, and I have been advised by psychologists. I've asked them for help, and I will acknowledge them inshallah later on for their help in giving me certain guidance into how I can structure this lecture. So the first solution is what we talked about in the second night of these series, which is you are not your mind. And this is extremely powerful. There is this thing called the vicious cycle. They describe people who have depression. The first thing is, they get these thoughts. For example, nobody likes me. I always mess things up. There's a thought, comes in your head. Next thing is you have feelings. Remember, it's a cycle. The arrow goes down to feelings. Feelings, I am so sad. I am so self-conscious. I am anxious. The next thing, the arrow goes down to body, right? You start to feel things in your body. You become tense. You have palpitations. There's no energy. You don't want to go out. A friend calls you, do you want to go out? I really don't feel like it, right? You feel very heavy inside. The cycle continues. From body, it goes to behavior, where you withdraw from society. So you get a thought, and then it's a feeling, and then it's a body reaction, and then it's a behavior, and then the behavior affects the thoughts, yes, and then you get the vicious cycle again and again and again. So the issue is, the secret is, how do I break this vicious cycle of my thoughts giving rise to my bad feelings and sad feelings, and then giving me palpitations, and my body becoming intense, and then it portrays in my behavior where I withdraw from society, and then it gives me my thoughts back again. So this is where we're talking about you are not your mind. Once one gets this thought, the thought that nobody likes me, for example. This is the most simplest, of course. I'm not trying to simplify depression here, but this is a simple a thought. An example is, nobody likes me, right? I always mess things up. One must realize who is actually saying this in the mind. Psychologists have identified that this is the mind that is not you. This is the chatter in your head that is saying this. What one must do is disassociate yourself from this chatter that is giving you all these thoughts that you are not good, you're not worthy, people don't like you, etc. These are just thoughts that are coming in your head, and unfortunately people who associate themselves with this thought will then have the issue of their body and their behavioral reactions, etc., affecting them. Yeah? So what one must do is disassociate oneself with the thought. Step back and just watch the thought. They say you become the watcher. You step back, and I like to, when I think about it, I like to think I am sort of swimming, but I'm drowning in a river. I'm drowning in a river. I'm trying to swim, but it's the big, heavy waves that are coming. Right? What I need to do is just get out of the river and just watch the river pass by. Yes? Your mind will take you all different places, will take you to all sorts of different thoughts. And that is the problem, because when you associate yourself with your mind, then you start to have reactions, then you start to have this negative sufferings that was labeled a study by Sheikh Khalil Ja'far. We mentioned in our second night. So if you want a bit more information regarding this, please refer to the lectures in the second night. So when you step back from the mind, you become alert, you become conscious, you stay aware, and you stay present. And the way I like to link it with our Islamic teachings is that the mind and the ego that the mind keeps on feeding is the nafs, right? When we associate ourselves with our nafs, complete association, that I believe I am my nafs, then I will react to what an-nafs al-ammara bis-su' will tell me to do, right? And then when I fail in my task, I will become anxious. When I fail in my task, I will become depressed, because this is where the thought comes in. Now, inshallah, I haven't confused you, but if you have questions, please speak to me or refer to the second lecture of the series. Solution number 2, my brothers and sisters, is of course inevitably as-salah. Okay? Now, when we talk about salah, again, we spoke about as-salah in, I think, night 4 or night 3, right? Again, you can refer back to the concentration and prayer and how to sustain this khushu' in as-salah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed 5 times a day of meditation for all of us. And He said there's no option for you. You must meditate every day. Imagine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to say, it's up to you if you want to pray or not. A bit like the mustahab prayers. Yes? A bit like the mustahab prayers, like the ghufayla and all the other salatul layl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, only those people who really, are good, faithful pray. Others, it's up to you. How many of us would actually pray, right? The question is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it obligatory because it's good for us. And for me, throughout my studies and research into salah, I have found that it is in fact a form of meditation. When you are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you are in that conscious mind, when you get out of the chatter, you're in a completely different world. And you stay connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why it's recommended to have certain breathing techniques. To start off by breathing 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 8 seconds. Yes? Just before you say Allahu Akbar, because you're entering this meditation state. There is another issue about meditation. So we talked about salah, meditation. There are other forms of meditation, and also mindfulness. Yes? And people relate to mindfulness as this Buddhist technique. No. If you go back to Islamic literature, there is very similar practices of meditation in Islamic teachings. In fact, there are narrations that say that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, when he used to wake up, he used to sort of sit down and sort of take in all the thoughts in, right? And start to think and connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Clear his head for the day, right? It will be beautiful if we wake up in the morning, before breakfast, I know everyone is in a hurry in the morning, but maybe 2 or 3 minutes, practice some mindfulness. I've read stories of individuals who used to suffer from depression, and they say that mindfulness cured them because they practiced every morning sitting down for 5 minutes, trying to be mindful. Now, mindfulness can be done in 2 quick ways, right? One is that when you sit down, a lot of thoughts are going to come into your head, and you might associate yourself with the thoughts, right? The thing is, of course, well, we said we step back, but the way to step back is to not associate your thoughts with anything. Don't give importance to the thoughts. What psychologists say is that you must acknowledge the thought. So, for example, I get a thought in the morning while I am sitting down just before, saying, "Oh Ali, you are late for work. What are you doing? This is wrong. Just get up, get changed and go to work." This is a thought that has come. What I need to do is I need to acknowledge the thought. Say, "Thank you very much, oh thought." Of course, this takes a lot of practice until you master it. But thank you very much, oh thought. But I'm going to give that a thought a miss today. Okay? Stay calm, stay focused. Another thing they say is that you focus on one particular thing. Focus on, for example, a book, or focus on a bottle, or focus on a dot in the morning. Just put your mind and put all the thoughts that are coming in your head that are making you anxious in the morning, that are making you depressed. Just try to focus on that dot, focus on that object, and say, "Oh thoughts, thank you for coming. But no, not today. I'm not going to give you importance today. I'm going to acknowledge you. I'm not going to judge you. And it will disappear." Because the thoughts, the more we think about them, the more they will stay. And then the more they cause us this negative sufferings of depression and anxiety and hate, etc. Yes? Another thing is to be in the now. This negative suffering and depression and anxiety hate the present moment. Anything but the present moment. Ask yourself this question right now as I am talking. What is wrong with now? Is there anything wrong with now, right now? Anything wrong? Nothing is wrong with now. If we always stay in that conscious mind of being in the present moment, not thinking about what happened just 10 minutes ago, not thinking about what's going to happen or when is he going to finish, right? Inshallah in 10 minutes, don't worry, right? Think about right now, in the present moment. And when you practice doing that, psychologists have shown that the thoughts, your mind and the thoughts and depression and anxiety and all these feelings hate the present moment. They keep on telling you, no, don't think of now. Think about what just happened just a few minutes ago. You see, when this guy told you this, or maybe that could have happened, or maybe later on someone will say these things to you that will cause you anxiety and depression, right? No, just say, okay, thank you, thought. Don't fight the thought, be in the present moment. And I encourage myself and the community and those who are facing depression in their life to, as trivial as this sounds, but it's extremely powerful, being in the present moment. And this is applied also in the salah. Solution number 3 is we must be conscious of the whispers of the shaitan. Now you've all perhaps experienced, you must have all experienced the whispers of the shaitan. Yes? All must have experienced the whispers of the shaitan. But how conscious are we of these whispers of the shaitan? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in chapter 23 verses 97 and 98. وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ what? مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينَ. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّي أَن يَحْضَرُونَ. When we say, oh my Lord, I seek refuge in thee from the evil suggestions of the shaitan. Remember, they are just suggestions. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He says in chapter 16 verse 98, 99 and 100, إِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ سُلْطَانٌ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. He won't really come and trouble you, those individuals who are believers of Allah, those who have dismissed the shaitan, those that if the shaitan comes in the form of a thought, they dismiss it and they say, no, thank you very much, I am not interested in you anymore. Yes? وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ إِنَّمَا سُلْطَانُهُ عَلَى هُ إِنَّمَا سُلْطَانُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَتَوَلَّوْنَهُ. Those people who actually accept these thoughts. When a shaitan comes and whispers in your mind and say, oh look, this individual have said bad things about you, say something back at them. Because if you don't, then this will cause you anxiety. This will cause you depression. Yes? Yeah? So say something back. Save yourself. Build your ego. Yeah? So what we must do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا سُلْطَانُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَتَوَلَّوْنَهُ. Those individuals who befriend the shaitan, those who accept these thoughts and not just acknowledge them and let them go. So that's solution number 3. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Solution number 4 is to comprehend the purpose of life and how life is insignificant. Number 1, comprehend the purpose of life. Because when we comprehend the purpose of life, we then find out how life is insignificant. Yeah? Because what am I doing here? I am actually I am depressed because something has happened in my life. It must have been. Either I'm depressed because I have another illness. I am depressed because a family member has maybe died. I have a depression because maybe it's a neurochemical reaction in my brain. Yes? I am depressed for all different reasons. And I'm not trivializing depression. There are people who are going through extreme hardship. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with you. I genuinely say this from my heart. But what it is that it will help, I believe, to remind ourselves of what is the purpose of life and how life is so insignificant. So we must remind ourselves that we are representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Right? And so therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that He has breathed into us. Every single one of us has Allah in us. How can you be gentle to yourself? How can you put so much pressure on yourself and you have a bit of Allah in you? You are hurting this component that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the purposes, and one of the purposes is that Allah has created us so that He is known. There's a hadith al-Qudsi. He says that I have created human beings so that they know me. And it's not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to be known and He says He created us so He says, hey, I am here. No, it's because that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to experience the beauty of knowing Him, the beauty of loving Him, the beauty of being close to Him. He loves us so much, and He's so merciful to us that He wants us to taste and experience the beauty of being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? So that is why He created us. And of course this is a huge topic that I can't go now into. But the thing is that once you understand this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I want you to come closer to me. But when you come close to Allah, Allah says, look, this life is insignificant. What I want for you is the hereafter. I want you to enjoy yourself in the hereafter. Yes, no doubt, enjoy yourself lawful things in this world. But if you go through difficulties, it's okay. This is the verses that we recited at the start of the ayah. Inna ma'al usri yusra. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Where there is hardship, there is ease. Yes, where there is hardship, there is ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yes, if you're going through hardship in this world, don't worry, this world is insignificant. We are all travelers. Yes, we are all travelers. We will end up down under. Every single person here will end up down under. There's no doubt about that at all. So it's insignificant. No, there is no need to give so much importance to this life and spend so much energy in thinking about things in this life. Whereas the life is actually worthless. The real life is the hereafter. And we talked about happiness from the Quran when we talked about the significance of the hereafter. You can refer to night 5, inshallah. Solution number 5 is comprehending the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran is magnificent, my brothers and sisters. If you are depressed, and remember when I said about mild to medium depression, not severe, mild to medium, because you can cope, you can hold the Quran and read. Let's not forget this book, my brothers and sisters. This is a time, a holy month of Muharram, where Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, yes, he fought for justice, fought against corruption, fought for human rights, but he also fought for us to understand this book. How many of us have this book in the shelf and we pick it up maybe once a month or even less than that? Not just reading, but comprehending the Quran. Let me give you a study, a very interesting study. Don't believe me? Believe this study. A study by, I don't know if I can pronounce his name well, Bamo Muhammad Ali et al. From the Journal of Religious Health in 2017. This is a very recent. He found that, or they found that, listening to the recitation of the Holy Quran induced a large reduction in anxiety levels among patients receiving hemodialysis, irrespective of age, gender, and family status. And I've seen several papers say that actually. Recitation of the Quran reduces anxiety, reduces depression. MashaAllah, subhanallah. But of course we comprehend the Quran when we read it. Not just reading it and my mind is somewhere else, but comprehending the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Solution number 6 and final one is be gentle to yourself and don't forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is close to you. What I like to say, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. What I like to say is that every single one of us has a wonderful friend with them in every single second and every single minute of your life. Yes, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, نَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. I am closer to him, O human, than your jugular vein. How can you be closer to him than your jugular vein? It means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is right within you. He's inside you, right? He is always with you at the time of anxiety, at the time of depression, when you fear things. Allah is with you. Don't worry, He is always. Even if the whole world says no to you, Allah is with you every single moment of your life. Just go back to Him. Go back to Him, and I can guarantee that one can remove the depression, anxiety, if we get back to Him closely and get back to Him in the right way. And importantly, be gentle to yourself, because as spiritually we are a creation that warrants mercy on ourselves. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you are depressed, just don't be too hard. Oh, I am a failure in this life. Oh, people don't like me. Oh, I can't get out, etc. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be gentle. This is Allah's creation. You are worthy. You are representative of Allah. You have Allah in you. Stand up, be strong. Don't let these thoughts take over you, because they are just thoughts. They are just merely thoughts. They are just neurotransmitters in your brain that are telling you be depressed, and they're putting these reactions in you, right? They are just thoughts in your head. Think of a wider picture. Think of Allah. And a way forward, I'm going to finish here. A way forward, this is a message for everyone, including myself, is that people who are depressed have to recognize that you don't have to live like this. It's not necessarily that it's been written on you that you have to live like a depressed person. Certain individuals say, well, I've got to live like this is it. This is my fate. This is my fate. What shall I do? I have to live as a depressed person. No, no one said this. No one has written it. It doesn't have to be like this. And importantly, and this is, if anyone is going to take anything from this lecture, please just take this. That as a community, we need to remove the stigma behind mental illness. Brothers and sisters, and I tell you this as my final words in these 10 series of lectures, that we have a serious problem in our community. And this problem is mental illness. I know there are many youths who are suffering in silence. Perhaps it's your son or your daughter that are suffering, and they do not want to tell you because there is a bad stigma, especially in our community, regarding mental illness. If you don't think that it is an important topic, and you're probably thinking, I don't suffer from mental illness, I know my kids don't suffer, I know no one from my family, what is he talking about? Perhaps so, but you don't know about other people because they don't want to tell you, because it's a stigma. We need to support each other as a community about mental illness. Open our doors to each other. I said this before. If you haven't heard from a friend for a long while, how do you know? Maybe this person is suffering inside. Pick up the phone and speak to them. Open your doors to them. Maybe just a small smile. Maybe a chat with them. Maybe a reminder will help them, will make their day. There's importance of help seeking both social support and friends and family, and professional help if needed. And I am proud to say that there are Shia Muslim psychologists and psychiatrists out there. A sister known as Ani Shamsi and a few others as well, who are working tirelessly to set up a Shia network of psychologists and psychiatrists who volunteer. This is not for this is not their professional work, but they are psychologists, psychiatrists. They're volunteering to provide support for mental illness in the Shia community. Yes? And I can provide, whoever wants more information, I can provide them with further contact details. They are giving their time. They say that, look, we are professionals. We are giving our time. If you are suffering from depression, anxiety, or any other mental illness, contact us. We will, inshallah, give you certain therapies and guidance, inshallah. And this is beautiful because this is an opening up. Don't be afraid. There is help out there. You do not need to be like this. You do not need to suffer in silence, because that is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. Not suffering in silence. There is treatment out there. We're living in a country that is providing a lot of money for mental illness. And there is a lot of treatment out there. And we are proud to say that there are Shia specialists who are working hard to provide this in their spare time. So please make use of their support. And finally, CBT for Muslims. There is some work on CBT for Muslims. They talk about, they've trialed it. Some may say, they focus on the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where in the state of depression, they change them into begin seeing their experience as a test and normalizing this. There's so much to talk about this, but there is CBT for Muslims. And again, please do contact me if you're interested. So summary, we talked about 6 ways spiritually to treat depression. Number 1, you are not your mind, you are not your thoughts. Don't associate yourself with your thoughts, it's just a thought. Number 2, prayer, meditation, mindfulness, and being in the present moment. Number 3, being conscious of the shaitan's whispers. Number 4, comprehending the purpose of life and the insignificance of life as well. It's not worth it. And comprehending the Holy Quran. And number 6, let's be gentle to ourselves and not forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is close to us. Now, when we remember Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, we know for a fact that he did not suffer from negative suffering. He did not suffer from this anxiety and depression or anything else. Yes, he might have suffered emotionally, where he saw his family being brutally killed right in front of him. Yes, he might have suffered physically, but he never suffered with anxiety and depression, because he did not associate himself with these thoughts and mind. He had a connection, direct connection with Allah. He was in that constant conscious state. With all that went on, Imam al-Hussein did not suffer from all this depression and anxiety, whereas his heart was yearning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to meet Allah. They stood as one for the final night tonight. Today is Tasu'ah, so forgive me, I've taken long time. Samihna Sayyidina. Just a few minutes, inshallah, I will end. They stood as one for the final night tonight. Ashura was already decided. They all knew that tomorrow they will be martyred and they will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tonight was the night of worship. Tonight was the night to say goodbye. Tonight Imam al-Hussein heard the words of his men's loyal and free hearts. Tomorrow he will call upon their fallen remains before meeting his own destiny. Habib ibn Mudahir is there tonight, a beating heart of those loyal companions. Al-Abbas, Ali al-Akbar and Qasim all still stand, and Abdullah and Al-Asghar is sleeping. Abdullah the Asghar is sleeping in his cot with his mother's watchful eyes. Focus on Zainab alayhi salam. Take your mind to Zainab, this amazing individual who saw brutality in front of her, who saw her brother being chopped into pieces, and yet still stood steadfast and being patient and had no anxiety and depression or anything else in front of the enemy. What a woman she is. What an ambassador. All our sisters should be Zainabs. All our sisters at these particular times, in Tasu'ah, in Ashura, where we remember Imam al-Hussein and his family, all our sisters should remember, I want to be like Zainab. I want to have the patience of Zainab. I want to have the love of Zainab. And I want to have the gratitude of Zainab and the strength of Zainab. Zainab knew how highly Hussein thought of those that stood by him. He called them the best of companions. She wanted him to reassure her again. Only his words can. She told him, "Oh Imam al-Hussein, do you really trust those companions?" She won't have him for long. "Tell me, Ya Aba Abdullah, how did you test your men? How you found these men when all others betrayed you?" Hussein spoke proudly of these individuals. "Yes, Zainab, I tested them. By Allah I did. What did I find? I found them each fearless and sturdy. Zainab dying for me is the only pursuit that confronts them." MashaAllah. Let's ask ourselves, are we like those companions who sat steadfast against the enemy the night before they all knew they got martyred, and they say, "We are with you, Ya Aba Abdullah. We are with you till the end." Because this, we are fighting against corruption and batil. Nafi' ibn Hilal heard these words and his world trembled. He went to Habib, the elder of the companions of Hussein. He said, we done that. Zainab can't rest without worry tonight. Come all of you with me to Zainab. "I am Habib," he told Zainab. "We plead to your worried heart. I speak for all of us. Our pride is to be your servants. Don't take that honor away from us. We are at your command and the command of Master Hussein. Our swords and spears will be shamed if we don't use them against anyone wanting to harm you. We give you our worlds and our lives." Crying was heard across the camp. The women of Ahlul Bayt came to salute their courage and say goodbye. The night then ended finally. The day revealed the destiny. We had Hussein beside us. We had his peace around us. With his resolve we were freed. For tyrants we had no need. I wish it was eternal. The night we had Abu al-Fadl. His hand carried our flag. He'd bring water in his bag. We still had been a family. The night carried us faithfully. Our baby was very small, not on a spear, not that all. The night went like a memory. The day revealed the destiny. The night was our sanctuary. We knew it was temporary. We prayed and poured our hearts. In that humming all took part. We truly left all else behind. Only Allah was there to find. The night gave us clarity. The day revealed the destiny. We were the best of companions. We still have our reunions. Beside Hussein, we lay slain. His love has cured our pain. That night then ended finally. The day revealed the destiny. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. والعاقبة للمتقين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطاهرين.